Welcome to Beyond Rockets. Hope you're having a great day. My name is Clark Dunn and I'm your host. Get ready to enjoy some awesome conversations from Huntsville locals about cool work they are doing right here in the Rocket City. You can connect with us on social media at Beyond Rockets. And if you're interested in doing a podcast yourself, I'd love to hear from you. You can visit my website, beyondrockets.com today, or connect with me on LinkedIn at Clark Dunn. Sit back and enjoy this episode of Beyond Rockets. This episode is sponsored by Yellowhammer Brewing. Yellowhammer is a local craft brewery serving Huntsville for the past 14 years. They are known for their premium craft beers like their T-Minus and Rebellion, but what you might not know is they also offer spirits, wine, seltzers, and non-alcoholic drinks. Next time you stop by their location, try one of their seasonal cocktails made with the Gemini Bourbon or the Yellowhammer Vodka, or try this year's big hit Pineapple Punch Seltzer. You can find out more information about Yellowhammer Brewery by visiting their website, yellowhammerbrewery.com, or visiting their tap room located at Campus 805.
Well, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you today. I would like to introduce yourself and we'll get started there.
Yeah, David Lewis. I'm the founder of Coffee Break. We're a specialty coffee roaster in Huntsville.
Awesome. Yeah, and so you've been doing Coffee Break for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about what you were doing prior to Coffee Break and when did you sort of get introduced into the coffee world? Have you always liked coffee? And just give us a little bit of a background of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Coffee is something I didn't really get into until my college years, probably like a lot of people. And I used coffee as a tool. You know, it was really a commodity for me. I was like, I want to wake up. I need to do well on this exam. I'm going to be at the library. There's a little shop there. I'm just going to caffeinate. That's going to be, it's like my stimulant of choice at the time. And it did a job. It wasn't until much later in my life that I saw it as something more than just that commodity, a way to like mood boost, basically.
And so what were you doing for work prior to kind of, because like, is Coffee Break something currently you're doing full time, or do you still have a 9 to 5 that you're doing this on the side? And kind of what is your background kind of before you kind of said, hey, let's get the coffee equipment, let's make this brand and let's start roasting?
Yeah. So coffee is really, I think it's like my fourth career, to be honest with you. So I born and raised in Huntsville. All I knew was engineering. Yeah. Basically, both sides of my family came for the space program, in sort of the space race years. My parents continued on that path. And so that's what I knew coming out of Huntsville. And I pursued a similar path, went to engineering school. And I got to say, that career for me was sort of over before it began.
Really?
I got my first job and I thought, this really isn't for me. And so I wanted to go explore, travel, see the world. And I moved around a lot in the 20 years or so after college before coming back to Huntsville. Kind of started in engineering briefly, went into nonprofits for several years, almost a decade, then tech companies. And when the pandemic hit, my family, we were in Portland, Oregon at the time. And that's where my love of coffee really grew. Surprisingly, Portland actually has a similar metro size, the Huntsville metro. And in Portland, there's like 120 coffee roasters.
Wow.
Whereas in our area, there's probably like, there's 6 or so, plus a few people doing it in their garage, which is sort of how I started as well.
And so did you get into roasting any in Portland, or did the kind of actually roasting your own bean really start here in Huntsville?
Yeah, it started in Portland. I just saw so many people doing it, and some of the operations were kind of 2-bit, and I was like, maybe I can do this.
Yeah.
And so I got like a vintage forced air popcorn popper and a couple pounds of green coffee. And I thought, hey, if nothing else, this is going to be an interesting experiment. I'll try it in my garage this weekend.
Yeah.
And the coffee was not good.
Okay.
That I roasted. It was not good, but I was proud of it. And so it made me enjoy the experience. I thought this is something I could get into.
Yeah. And so when you moved back to Huntsville with your family after the pandemic, did you continue to did you continue to roast, continue to dial up your recipes and kind of what makes the coffee what it is today? Or did you kind of pivot and do something else when you first came back?
Yeah, right when I first came back. So I was sort of at the intersection of healthcare and tech. And we were in Portland at the time and expecting our second child. Our first one was a handful, especially when he was little. And we thought, we've got to be where there's helping hands. And my parents are still here. My wife's parents are in New York, and she's like, we're not going to New York. That's just going to be too much. And so we came back to Huntsville. landed on Montesano, which is a neighborhood I grew up in. Still a lot of familiar faces there. My parents were a block away. It made everything easier. And on one hand, on the other hand, the pandemic hit and no one was prepared for that, and the world sort of turned upside down overnight. So it was like it was its own challenging kind of experience. But I thought there was so much uncertainty in the world, and particularly like in the healthcare space. A lot of my friends were in just really taxing situations, and especially in like New York and Los Angeles, some of the dense cities that were getting hit really hard at the time. And I thought, we've got 2 little kids. We just moved. I can't go back into that space right now. It would just be too stressful for us. And so I want to do something that is like, keeps the distance, keeps that sort of that social distancing that everyone was talking about at the time. And so I kind of entered the world of online marketing, which was interesting. A lot of like communications, a lot of content creation. It was its whole own experience. But after doing that for a while, and then AI starts coming on the scene and the way people consume content changes, I thought, really what I'm doing is like I'm telling stories that machines can probably tell better by and large, at least the type of content I was producing.
Yeah.
And I wanted something that I was really passionate about and that has a level of nuance that is right under the surface. And most people just don't know about it. And my wife suggested, hey, you've been roasting coffee in the garage for like 10 years now. So, and I was supplying friends and family and just kind of, slinging coffee around the neighborhood a little bit. She said, why don't you check that out? Try that. There's not much, there's like little oases here and there. Yeah. In Huntsville, obviously some of the iconic brands, Coffee Clutch, big inspiration from when I was knee high, and is still around doing their thing today. Offbeat Coffee at the time, Gold Sprint, Turbo. There's like there's a good handful of people who are doing very cool things.
Yeah, the coffee scene here in Huntsville has just blossomed, really probably since 2022-ish.
Yeah,
or maybe a lot of it happened right before the pandemic, and then we had coffee shops. Some unfortunately went out of business. New coffee shops come into play, but I think the appreciation for craft coffee has kind of run parallel with the appreciation in Huntsville for craft beer. I think it's kind of a unanimous, like the people that like craft beer typically like craft coffee and vice versa. There is some, hey, I like craft beer, but I could drink Folgers, or I like Folgers, but I love craft beer. And so, but like I feel like the appreciation for coffee. So your wife kind of gives you that push to say, hey, like let's give this a try. How did you go? I mean, obviously with the background in marketing and having done that prior to going all in on this, you kind of knew how to market it and knew how to get it out there. What was sort of the first event you went to? How did you get it out there amongst the community larger than just your neighborhood?
Yeah. Well, the first challenge I had was, the machine I was using at the time was just, it would supply my family, but it would only roast like 5 ounces of coffee at a time. And so I went out, I found someone nearby that was selling kind of the smallest possible commercial rig that you could get. It's not even really viable for commercial applications. It's more of a sample roaster than anything else. But I got that and brought myself to a place where I could actually produce enough coffee for more than just, my family for a week and my immediate friends. And then a friend of ours down the street said, hey, we've been wanting to do a gathering spot after school drop off in our driveway. Maybe you could bring your coffee. And so I got some folding tables and brought some pour overs out and like roasted coffee for a whole week to serve coffee for 1 hour.
Wow.
And the community just came out, and I just wanted to see if there's even an appetite for it, because I thought, Huntsville is such a practical town in a lot of ways. And maybe it is that the industries that have been here over the last 50 years, 70 years, whatever it is now, or maybe it's something else. But I wasn't sure if people would appreciate craft coffee. But like you said, microbreweries are showing up. It's sort of in droves around town. And I thought, okay, people are looking at these things as more than just commodity.
Yeah. And I think it's the appreciation. I mean, there's so much I think with the coffee, the different kinds of coffee shops that have opened up, the third wave stuff, even just coffee throughout the state of Alabama. I mean, Birmingham has some great coffee as well, and I think it is that appreciation where it's not just the tool that gets me going in the morning. It's that
Absolutely.
It's that experience of going to a shop, getting a pour over. Like Offbeat, I was really good friends with them, and I loved their pour over bar, and that was just one of my favorite things because it kind of slowed down the day. Like I would go there to study during college, and you would ask for a pour over, and it wasn't immediate. It was, you kind of had to wait for what you were going to get, and you appreciated that coffee a little bit more. And it just and you got to talk to them doing it while they were doing it about what they were doing, and it was just like this cool little dynamic. And so you started doing it in the driveway of your neighbors, kind of after school drop off, roasted all week for this one day. And the success obviously was good. I guess you saw the community in the area started liking your coffee. How did you go then from, a roaster that took you a week for one day to then actually being able to roast enough to do subscriptions and do Green Street Market and do all the things you're doing today?
Yeah. I would say probably the first 6 months or year was really sort of a viability test for me. I mean, sort of in my heart, I wanted to bring something that was really, I thought was cool for the community. And I just wanted to see okay, are people in my community also going to appreciate this? Is this going to be received as a gift, or do I just think it's a gift? And I that's just me here. And so Green Street Market was, you mentioned, obviously they've been around for a while.
Yeah.
It's sort of a gathering place.
It's a staple of the summer fall here in Huntsville.
Yeah, absolutely. And getting people outside in downtown, and that's a big part of for me, like what I see as a gift to be given. And the people who are doing that work, whether it's Green Street Market or Bailey Cove Farmers Market or Huntsville Food Hub, or these different groups that they're creating spaces. And it's not just about the food, and it's not just about the vendors, but it's about the community and a way to come together and get out of our vehicles.
Yeah.
and bump into people that you haven't seen in a while, or meet somebody new.
I mean, that's how I met you, was at the Green Street Market. We were walking through, I saw coffee. I was like, I didn't know there was another, I had not heard of your stuff before. And so we walked over, got a bag, tried some coffee, introduced ourselves, and then here we are today doing a podcast. And I think those are the things. I think what was unique too that I remember seeing on y'all's website is sort of the core of the business, which you've kind of alluded to in the conversation so far with sustainability and community. Talk a little bit about some of the other core elements of Coffee Break, and how, as you've gotten into Green Street Market and done these other markets and been at races, the Cotton Row you were at, how these pillars of Coffee Break are enacted in each thing that you do and why you do it.
Yeah. I mean, really, there's different sides to it, but a core part of Coffee Break is we want to help give people opportunities, create reasons to get out of the daily humdrum routine of alarm clock hits, wake up, go to work, come home, be exhausted. There's these routines that we all get in. I get in them. I'm sure you do too. Most people do. And right around us, some of the most beautiful things are right around us. A lot of that is kind of the cultural elements of our community in Huntsville and across North Alabama. Biodiversity is, there's just an incredible natural world all around us. Some of it's getting paved over and, built up as the city expands, but there's still in town, there's amazing pockets of places and things to experience that are unique to Huntsville, that are unique to North Alabama. And so part of what we want to do is sort of add fuel to that fire for especially the communities like Hammer, like Huntsville Track Club, the people who they're gathering, sort of galvanizing communities around getting outside and into these spaces, interacting with neighbors, interacting with art, interacting with sort of the natural wonders around us, and just encouraging people to pause.
Yeah. And I think that that has been like seeing the things that you've been a part of, like you mentioned, in the running stuff, in the running community, in the farmers markets, and and I think there's so many of those pockets and those communities that have been built that have really found success. And I think, you know, your method of going in and being a part of their community that they've already built has probably allowed Coffee Break to grow quicker than maybe if you were just doing one of those or none of those. And I think, you know, you've seen, so as you've been a part of, so how long have you been at Green Street Market? Is this your first season, or were you there last year?
Yeah, we were there last year as
Okay.
well. So this is our second season.
How has the dynamics shifted between last season and this season? Have you seen an uptick in the consumption of people coming by and seeing Coffee Break, the awareness, maybe the people that said, hey, I saw you last year, oh, I didn't come by, or I loved the coffee? Or have you seen that kind of happen this season as we're recording on Thursday, Green Street Market Day?
Yeah.
So have you seen sort of that uptick?
Yeah, there's definitely been an uptick. I mean, it's an exposure thing. It's a trust thing. One of the challenges with being a coffee business with afternoon markets is, you know, people are getting off of work, even if they're going to make a pot of coffee at home the next morning, it's like their brain is sort of in a different place. So it's slow and it's organic, and from a business perspective, it's a relationship business as much as anything. People have kind of been drawn to Coffee Break because of the idea of local craft, whether it's coffee or anything else. I think there's sort of an allure to that of like, what can we do here in our town? But then people stay for the quality of the coffee. I mean, that's sort of by and large the message is like the convenience, the quality, the routine. And we're trying to bring some of the world's best coffees into the Huntsville area. Compared to sort of by and large, like 80% of the coffee that has historically been in Huntsville is kind of more second wave coffee. It's like darker roasted, a big emphasis on like flavored syrups and that sort of thing. And there's space for that. You know, that's probably like the majority of the market right now. But for us, we want to bring something new. We're roasting medium and light roast coffees from really high quality farms. People who are doing interesting, growing processes and post-harvest processes to create very distinctive flavor profiles for their coffee.
Yeah.
And so for someone who is interested in what coffee can be and the different ways it can present, a lot of people are really surprised to see one of our bags, like an Ethiopian coffee that has blueberry tasting notes, for example. And some people just like any other, like, craft beer or other gastronomy, it's like people get really into it. You know, they want to try some new flavor.
I've never seen it with that. I've never seen it with this. And so like having that uniqueness is kind of I guess it also helps have those conversations with those people that come by. Is they're like, oh, and like blueberry, like that's a little different, isn't it? And you get to kind of explain the process and how that works. One thing that was cool too is you have like a subscription model for your coffee. Talk a little bit about how that subscription model works, and where people, if they're interested in subscribing and buying your bags, maybe online, where they can go to find it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we have a subscription program through the Coffee Break website, and people come, kind of pick a category of coffee they're interested in or a specific coffee. So some people will say, hey, I only want like more fruity floral coffees. Other people want something that's more classic, like chocolatey, nutty, the kind of coffee that a lot of people grew up on. Other people just want decaf beans. Some people want a little bit of everything. And more still just they found the coffee that they love and they just want it without having to think about it. And so, folks will sign up for the subscription and we'll mail it to them. They can pick it up at, markets and events, or we do a porch delivery in and around town every Tuesday.
Okay.
And I need a bigger car soon because we've got so much coffee going out every Tuesday. It's getting pretty amazing. But honestly, it's one of my favorite days of the week because I just get to go into all these neighborhoods around town and just sort of see like what's going on in South Huntsville right now, what's going on in Montesano, what's going on in Jones Valley and these different areas that I wouldn't necessarily be out like walking around in. So that's been really fun. And I don't always get to like see someone and shake their hand, but like this week on Tuesday, there's a guy in South Huntsville. been delivering coffee to him probably for like 6 months. And I met him for the first time.
Wow.
I always see him, he's got the Huntsville Track Club sticker on the back of his car and North Alabama Land Trust. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, we're into the same things. This is like my type of person. And I met him in his driveway coming home from work while I was dropping off. And so it's just, the subscription program is really, it's kind of the fuel that like fires the business because it's consistent.
Yeah.
And it's doing a market, doing an event when you don't have a brick and mortar location. It's like high calorie. And so subscription is sort of like that constant fuel for the fire of like what we hope to be building in the long term. But also it's fun just because, the interactions with people and like seeing how people are living and like what's going on in the communities.
Yeah. And so as this episode's going to get released the beginning of August, talk a little bit about some events and things that people might be able to find you at in the fall. And then especially, during the holiday season, it's a uptick for small business owners like yourself. Where can they find you market wise then? And just kind of give us a layout of where you might be.
Yeah. We'll be all over the place this fall. A couple that I'm particularly excited about. Randolph School, one of the great schools in town, has their Under the Christmas Tree event at the end of October. I know a lot of people come out for that. It's like part of their holiday gifting. So we'll be there serving coffee. Even if you're not looking to buy coffee or you're not sure what specialty coffee is and how that's different from what you might be drinking already, pop by. We'll give you a taster and talk to you for a little bit and kind of explain what to look for and what makes it different. So that's a really good venue. Montesano 15K. We were talking about that before we rolled the tape earlier, and that's a great event. We'll be out there serving coffee for the race. Complimentary coffee. It's a great way to get out into one of the amazing neighborhoods in town, do something healthy, connect with the community. That's a good spot. We also have just opened a roastery space at the Grid in Hampton Cove area. And so it's open. We're producing coffee there. We don't have public hours yet, but by the time the end of August rolls around, we'll be having coffee tastings, coffee classes, and coffee service happening at the Grid on Saturdays and then throughout the week as well. So that's going to be a spot where there's a lot of interesting food things, community things happening on that side of the mountain. So definitely come see us there.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll be sure to have links to the website and your social media. So as events get announced and you find out about events and people want to find out about them, social media is always a great spot for that. It's exciting to see what you've done in such a short amount of time. And obviously you've been roasting coffee for a decade, but in the year and a half, you've really grown Coffee Break into being, a kind of working its way to being a pillar here in the community. And I love the way you're working with the community in different events with the Huntsville Running Lane and all the other things you're doing. But I appreciate you being here today. We'll have all the links to episode notes if you want to find out more, but thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Beyond Rockets. Don't forget you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen and on YouTube at Beyond Rockets. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Beyond Rockets to stay up to date with new episodes as they are released. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed.